How you doing, people? Robert here. As people are aware, I done a video and obstructed a man representing the fiction known as DVLA for stealing my property in my car. I also stopped the police as well because they were acting in the role of constables and no officers, and I kept my status as a man, right? I've still got the car, as people are aware. The thing of the matter is, people, I've now the other day phoned the entity known as DVLA and made 2 calls. The first call I made started off okay, but it started to get a bit heated between myself and the female because she didn't like the questions that was being asked, right? And when you hear the calls, you hear what she's saying and how she's reacting to what I'm doing. Now, the important point in the first call, people, with this call, is it says that she says the DVLA don't get involved in ownership, right? Now, the DVLA can't get involved in ownership, right? Firstly, the document, the V5, tells you on it that it's not proof of ownership, right? Plus the fact the DVLA is a soulless legal fiction that has no life, it has no right of mind to contract, and no man or woman can make a claim, an agreement or a contract on its behalf, and that's a fact, right? Because there is nothing there to instruct. It's a total fraud that's being used against the people, and using the word DVLA, driver vehicle licensing agency, is a fiction to escape liability, and this is how all these corporations is escaping liability, right? The second call was a bit more pleasant. The guy, Gareth, that I was speaking to on the phone. Now, in the call, you'll hear that he states clearly that they don't have jurisdiction, right? It's out with their jurisdiction, right? So, what's actually happening here is there's a major fraud going on, people. You're losing your cars, your properties, your campers, whatever they're taking, right? They're stealing them, right? Because they're using fictions to steal your property without consent and have the cheek to try and charge you a fee for something that is your property, right? I would say owner, right? But as I've told you before, previous videos, owner relates to person. Everything, this is a clever system, people. Everything relates to person. It doesn't matter what statute or legislation or act relates to person. And this is the danger of what's going on here. Every man and woman that represents this legal society, the legal system, is complicit in a major fraud against the people. And that's a fact, and I'm verifying that in private capacity under full liability, right? Now, on the second call, people, I managed to get 2 addresses. I'm going to tell you what the addresses is, and I'm also going to put them up at the end of the video. And I would like to think that the people are now going to challenge us, right? But the important factor about these addresses is they're fictions, okay? There's no man or woman called what I'm just about to read out. It's all fictions, and this is where the fraud is, and people really have to start to pay attention to what's going on here. This isn't a game anymore. This is deadly serious. You're losing your property unlawfully. The female in the call says that if the car or vehicle, as they call it, is clamped, you have to MOT it, insure it or tax it to make it legal, right? We're not interested in legal because legal relates to person, right? Lawful I'm interested in, and that's what every man and woman in our land should be interested in, is lawful, right? Now, legal, as I've told you before, duties, obligations, responsibilities, right, and privileges to a legal society. When you lose your driving licence, you've lost your privilege. When you lose your property, your car, you've lost your privilege to travel, right? That's just 2 examples of what I'm saying. Now, the first address I got was the enforcement centre, right? There is no man or woman called that. It's a fiction, and it's again used to escape liability, right? The address is D12, D for Delta, right? 12, DVLA, Swansea, SA991A for Alpha, and H for Hotel, right? That's the enforcement centre. This is the part of the DVLA that work with the clampers that stealing your property, right? All over our lands, England, Ireland, Wales and Scotland, right? I've also got an address, people. The complaints team. Prime example. Complaints team, another fiction. There is no man or woman called that. There's men and women that represent it, right? This is D for Delta, 16, DVLA, Swansea, S for sugar, A for alpha, 6, 7, Juliet, Lima, right? That's the two addresses now. This is the opportunity for you people to write to these people. Get their CEO's name or the highest ranking officers, because everybody's in this as an officer, right? Person. So a big fraud. You know this now. I'm seeing a big difference with people waking up in Scotland, and I think it's the same in Ireland, England and Wales. People are now really paying attention to stuff that's going on. They're starting to awaken slowly but surely, but we have to get the people, men and women, to wake up quicker, right? Now I'm going to draft up letters to these two here, right? Because I never got the answer I was requiring. I also asked on the second call for the address of Oliver Morley, right? To write to him direct, right? I'm obviously going to have to write to the DVLA for it to be sent to him, right? Because the guy and the female on the two calls wasn't want to play ball with the address. On the second call, the guy says he didn't know the address, and I asked him, you work for the DVLA and you don't know the chief executive officer's address? He wasn't wanting to go there, people. He wasn't wanting to land himself in a shitload of trouble by giving that address, right? These people in these call centres read from a script. It doesn't matter what kind of a call centre you call, they read from a script. And when you start hitting them with questions, it's not in the script. It causes them to panic and get aggressive. As you find out, I end up having a set to with a female in the video, right? Because she's talking over me. And this is another thing that I want people to understand, right? And I don't mean you're standing under my authority, right? I'm talking to you as men and women, man, woman, right? When they try to talk, when a man or woman on a call centre try to talk over you, they're trying to get jurisdiction. And this is the bit you can't have, so you've got to start talking over them, right? She tried to get jurisdiction over me and I wasn't having it. At the last resort point, she cut me off. She terminated the call. And the reason being is, it states also on the call, people, if you listen to the start of the phone call, it tells you if you stay on the line, you consent to being recorded, right? Now the most important part here is that is an automatic machine that's telling you that. So you cannot rebut that and say I don't consent because there's nobody there to talk to, right? And that's how they trick. This is how they trick your consent, people. So this is another serious point to pay attention to. All calls to any call centre or any corporation that you make, this is what they've started doing. When you, the person, you as a person, it relates to person, stay on the line, you give them consent. Well, they don't know if you give them consent because nobody you can talk to there when they do that, but that's the reason they use the automated machine, so you cannot do that, right? And if you tell them that you don't consent, they'll cut you off. And if you tell them that you're recording their call, they'll cut you off. The female got aggressive with me, myself, because I told her that her call was being recorded too. And what she basically said to me was that she didn't give permission, right? Well, I don't need her permission, right? Because I have the right to record the call the same as they have the right to record the call, because it can be used as evidential prima facie evidence, right, if the call goes against them, and they don't like that, right? Anyway, people, as you're aware, let's say the guy, Daniel, fat chap that ate all the pies, that says he stated clearly on the video when he was being recorded that when the DVLA attach a clamp, now this is a deception, this is how they escape liability. This is, guys, is a bit more clever than what people think, right? He states the DVLA attach a clamp, right? Well, it wasn't the DVLA attached a clamp on the day, it was that man, that himself, right? There was no DVLA, there was no driving vehicle licensing agency there, and there was no government there, as he quoted day 3 in the video, as you're aware, right? This is him escaping liability, but what he doesn't realise is because he's attached the clamp, he's no personally liable. Plus the fact these two calls prove that he's a liar, right? Because the DVLA in the first call make it clear they don't get involved in ownership, and the second one with Gareth, the guy Gareth, Team 16 I think he was in, made it clear it's out with their jurisdiction. So the guy Daniel is a liar, right? He is the man that attached the clap, right? No anybody else or no anything else, right? So As I said before, people, if you see some man or woman attaching a metal device to your property, your car or your van, your motorhome or anything else, right, get in that car and do not move, right, because you have no jurisdiction. As I told the police constable in the last video, the police do not own the road. The DVLA, the fiction, do not own the road. And the government do not own the road, right? It's the people's roads. Anyway, people, I'm going to leave that there. I hope you like this information, right? Because as you know, I try to get answers for the people. And I try to make it as simple as I possibly can for them to understand. And when you hear the two calls, you will see that the man, and it is a man, a fat man at all the pies, right enough, lied on that video because he made a false claim, right? Because there is nobody called DVLA, there is nobody called Driver Vehicle Licensing Agency, there is nobody called the Enforcement Centre, there is nobody called Complaints Team. And this is how this legal system, this legal society operate to escape liability. That's why when you've got an issue with something lawful that you're fighting, you have to take the man or the woman that committed the unlawful act or crime against the man or woman in their private capacity under full liability. Anyway, people, as I says, I'm going to put these two addresses up at the end of the video, and it's up to the people how they want to deal with this, right? I know how I'm going to deal with it because they're going to get a letter from myself, and also Oliver Morley is going to be wrote to as well, because he's the Chief Executive Officer of this fiction, and I want to know if he's making a claim that that fiction owns my property, but a fiction can't own a property. As I said before, it's a soulless legal fiction. It has no right of mind to contract. No man or woman can make a claim, an agreement or a contract on its behalf, because there is nothing there to instruct and there is nothing there with authority. If you like this information, please subscribe to my channel on YouTube, Robess. I'm also on Facebook, Robert Sproul, right? Again, people, I'm happy with what I've got here because this information is invaluable to the people that's watching my channel. And I would like to thank all the people that subscribe to my channel and all the people that watch my channel and all the people that support I the Living Man, right? It's appreciated. And I think the people now know that I'm for real, because when I hit it hard, I hit it hard, and I try and get the answers and the information, the valid information and answers to help the people. Anyway, people, I'm going to leave it there. Take care, be safe, have a good day, bye bye.
Your call is now in the queue for an advisor. Please note, by continuing with your call, you consent to it being monitored and recorded to ensure quality of service.
Good morning, you're speaking to Emma. How can I help?
How are you doing? I want to make a kind of serious inquiry. I'll tell you what it is. A private corporation that's supposed to represent the DVLA tried to uplift one of my cars because it was not road taxed. Now, the police was involved in this. The police couldn't do nothing about it because there was no crime in law, and the clamp was removed. They left the clamp on it for badness, but the clamp was removed by excessive force by myself because it's my property. But a man known by the name of Danielle, that represents this corporation from Dalry in Scotland, said that once the clamp is on the car, that the DVLA own it. Could you verify the situation here? Because the DVLA can't own anything because it's a fictitious entity that has no life, right? Now, I want to know why this man is making the claim that if there's a clamp put on my property, that the DVLA own it. Can you justify this, and can you explain how he can come to a presumption as such as what he has stated?
Okay, we don't get into ownership here at the DVLA. We're only concerned with who is the registered keeper and therefore who is legally obliged to tax MOT and insure a vehicle. If a vehicle is not taxed MOT to insure, it can be clamped, and therefore a clamp would be put onto the vehicle until such time as the vehicle was then made re-legal, if you like. If the clamp was on the vehicle, and the vehicle was not then made legal via the Road Traffic Act laws, so either taxed, MOT'd, insured, then potentially the vehicle could be clamped or towed as appropriate with those with the Road Traffic Act.
Right, well, let me be clear. The car was MOT'd and it was insured, right? Now, let me ask you
Was
a
it
question.
taxed?
It was
Was
not
it taxed?
taxed. Listen, the Road Traffic Act refers to person. There is no such thing as a person. There's only a man or a woman. And I claim status with the police constables that was there as a man. And on that basis, they couldn't do nothing because there was no crime in law. What I want to know is now...
I can't get into anything legally here. All I can give you is an address to write to if you feel that the vehicle has been clamped incorrectly, or that you feel that it's been unfair, or that you'd like some further clarification on the law with regards to this. I've given you all the information that I am able to give you. I'm not of legal mind. I don't have a legal standing, and I'm not prepared to quote any acts of law to you.
I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested. What I want to know is where the DVLA claim ownership of the road, because the DVLA is a sole... Let me finish, please. The DVLA is a soulless legal fiction that has no right of mind to contract. You represent a fiction. A fiction cannot make a claim or make any law. So can you tell me where the DVLA... Let me finish. Don't be ignorant, right?
No, I'm not being ignorant. I have already advised you that I cannot comment
legal advice, right?
This.
You're listening, let me finish, right? The people pay your wages based on fraud, right? So you'll let me finish because I'm the people, right? One of the people, right? Now, the clamp was removed, right? I removed the clamp and nothing was done about it because you don't have the power or the authority to clamp anything. You're a private corporation and the Road Traffic Act has nothing to do with anything, right? It's a rule, it's not a law. Everything in a DVLA are rules and regulations and policies. There is no law, and it was clean with the police constable that if there was a crime in law for him to document and verify that when they were there, and he could not do it, and that proved there was no crime in law.
I'm really sorry to interrupt you any further again, but I cannot comment on what you're asking me to comment on. All I can do is tell you if you're not happy with the procedures, rules as you class them, regulations in place with regards to wheel clamping and not taxing of your vehicle, then there is an address in which you can write to and make a complaint. But apart from that, nobody's going to be able to give you the information that you're asking for over
What I want to know is he claimed that the DVLA claimed that... Let me finish. He claimed... No.
No, I'm
let
not.
Me finish.
I do apologise because I have once again crossed this issue with you now 3 times.
That's right, I'm going to get an answer because you're entitled to give me an answer. Where did let me finish. Do not be ignorant. Do not try and be ignorant, right?
I am very,
you let
sorry,
me finish.
You are
right.
shouting at me.
No wonder you're not listening, just ignorant. Right, let me finish.
You. I have listened to you.
Document and verify with the DVLA on the law as a road.
Once again, I cannot confirm any further details for you with regards to the law. I am not legally trained. If you want that information, you will need to make a complaint in writing. You have 2 options now with me today, sir. You can either take a complaints address from me over the phone today, or I will be further foremost to be able to disconnect this line.
I want your name, I want your desk number, I want your name and I want your desk number, because the complaint's going to be about your conduct, right? I want to know where the DVLA own the road. He says the DVLA own the clamp, they own the property. They don't own anything, right?
Once again, as I have said, I am not able to comment on this matter any further. You will need to put your complaint in writing. By all means, you can have my name and my team number if you wish to make that complaint about myself. But I cannot comment on a process that I have no further knowledge and no legal knowledge of, which is what you're asking me for. So let's start with the address there, sir. Do you have a pen and paper?
You don't need to take a pen and paper. This call is being recorded the same as yours. As soon as you answer that call,
okay, thank you for that, because I have not given you permission to record my call.
I'm not giving you permission either to record my call. I have not given you permission. I have not given you permission to record my call, right?
As part of the IBR, so part of the system that you've come through on today, you have confirmed that by continuing with this call, you are happy to be recorded for monitoring and training purposes.
You're the same. You're in the same position. You are in the same position. I don't need your consent. I do not need your consent.
Thank you very much for your call. Goodbye.
Call is now in the queue for an advisor. Please note, by continuing with your call, you consent to it being monitored and recorded to ensure quality of service.
Good morning. You're speaking to Gareth. How can I help today?
How you doing? I want to talk to a manager or some supervisor or even being put through to Oliver Morley. Because I've just phoned your centre less than 2 minutes ago. The female refused to give me her team number and her name and cut me off. Now, I want to speak to somebody higher up the ladder. I'm not going to take any nonsense here, right? Because I've got a serious issue that has to be addressed and I'm not getting answers. She says that she's not legal minded and she's not legally qualified. So you have the facility to put me through to somebody that has.
Okay. In regards to that, do you want to make a complaint?
I don't want to make a complaint. I want an answer. I'm not interested in a complaint. Complaints are for persons. I'm not a person. I'm a man. So I want to speak to somebody in charge. You've got the facility to transfer that call to whoever I require to speak to. I need a manager or a CEO. The CEO, Oliver Morley, would be better.
Okay. I understand that, but I'm going to have to do this properly now. Can I at least understand what you're calling about today?
A clamp was attached to my property, my car, right? And before, so we're crystal clear here on this call, I am not a person. I'm a living man, and it's a living man I'm speaking to, right? There is no such thing as a person. I'm verifying that.
Okay.
I've removed the clamp, right? I've asked the female, the guy called Daniel that represents a corporation that uses the fiction's name DVLA to steal property from men and women all over our country. Says that when a clamp is attached to that, he called it a vehicle. I call it my property because I paid for it, because only a man can pay for it, right? He said that the DVLA own it, right? So I want to know who's making the claim that the DVLA, when they attach a mechanical metal device to a property, own it, right? He's made a claim and I want an answer to that claim. I'm claiming I own it as a proper owner, as a man, right? Let me be clear as well, sir, so we know that we're crystal clear on this matter. The DVLA is a soulless legal fiction. It has no life. It has no right of mind to contract, right? Let me finish, please. Let me finish, please. And no man or woman can make a claim on his behalf, right?
Yeah, that's right. But the concepts you're banding about with me is not really something that I'm trained.
Well, I'm not interested in what you've got to say. I want to put through a supervisor and I want it now. The people pay your wages based on fraud, right? Because there is no law. There is no law to pay tax, right? So I require your supervisor or your CEO, Oliver Morley, and I require him now. Because I want an answer on this, because you're not going to keep attaching mechanical devices to a property that I own, right? Because the DVLA don't own the road, and I'm verifying that in private capacity under full liability, right? And I am legally and lawfully qualified.
Do you mind, sir? Do you mind if I take the details of the vehicle, first of all, so I can get some context? Can I take the registration mark on the vehicle that was clamped then?
The registration on the property is Sierra Delta 55 XBC.
X-ray Bravo
Charlie. It's a Vauxhall Corsa, black.
Okay. And can I take your name, please?
I'm not going to give you any names, so I'm not obliged in law to give you any details, right?
Right, okay. Well, that's fair enough. It's just that it may mean that I can't enter the details.
Well, there is no registered keeper, sir. There is no person registered to that vehicle, as you call vehicle. I call it property. There is no law require anybody to register anything. It's a database for you to commit fraud against the people. That'll verify in private capacity under full liability, okay?
And are you in possession of that?
Possession it? It's my property, sir, under common law, and I'm making a verified claim. It's my property.
Right, okay. But the vehicle itself, do you have any connection with that vehicle?
It's my, I've just verified, sir, in private capacity. It's my property. I don't own a vehicle, sir. I own a thing that's for real. It's not a fiction, sir.
And is that Vauxhall Corsa on your property?
That's my property. No, it's not on my property. It is my property.
Right. Okay.
And I'm making a claim it's my property. The DVLA have no right over that. The only thing that they've got a right over is the registration number. Nothing more, nothing less.
Okay. I understand that. Okay. I'm just going to have a little look into the vehicle record. Do you mind bearing with me while I do that?
No problem. You seen a more honourable man than the woman before you.
That's no problem. Do bear with me. I'll see what I can do for you. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Thanks for your patience. I've double-checked the details. Now, with wheel clamping, it can only be clamped if it's classified as on a public defined road. Now, who defines that is the local council, the registry office. So they would define whether that particular land where the vehicle was clamped is either public or private. So I would suggest that you contact them and then ask them whether that would be the case with that particular area of land. But otherwise, the DVLA will only act if it's classified as on public land.
Well, let me verify something, my friend. What's your name, please? My name is, I'm not going to give you my name, but what's your name and your team number?
My name is Gareth, and I'm from Team 48.
Right, well, the man made a claim that the DVLA once attached a clamp on that property, on the vehicle as he called it, on the property. So I'm looking for an answer to this. How can a fiction that a man represents claim ownership of anything that has no life?
Right.
He's made a serious accusation here. He is claiming once there's a clamp now, it's not the DVLA that came to put the clamp on the property, right? It was the man representing it. So he's saying that the DVLA own that once they clamp it. The DVLA, as I told you already, cannot own anything. It's a fiction, right? So where does he get consent to say that the DVLA own it? This is what I want to know. Who's making the claim? And as for the public road, the DVLA, and as I told the police constables on the day in question, they couldn't do nothing. The council, the DVLA and police do not own the road. The people pay for the road. So the public road is the people's. So nobody can make a claim on that. Doesn't matter. The council's another dead fiction as well. That has no life either. That's a fiction, a fictitious entity. And it's classed as person. Right. So what my concern is here, this man made a claim that the DVLA claimed that if I pay for something, right, and if you pay for something, it's yours. Would that be correct?
Yeah, but this is a vehicle
No, it's a car. A vehicle has it's a legalese definition. It has a different meaning for what you're saying, sir. If a vehicle can be a thing, when you get pulled up, like for instance with police officers or constables, and they quote the Road Traffic Act, a vehicle's a thing, right? A thing, and the reason they use the terminology vehicle, it becomes a thing, is because they don't want to give a disclosure of what it is that they mean. I know how this legalese and dog land works, and you know that I know because I know what I'm talking about, right?
Well, you clearly know a lot more in areas that I'm not trained on, but the DVLA will not get involved in issues of ownership.
Well, can you maybe enlighten me with what you think this guy meant? Now, for somebody to say, well, let me give you an example. You own a car, yes? Do you own a car?
Well, it's not something that.
No, I just want to ask you a straightforward question, right? We'll make a presumption here, right? We'll just say for the conversation talk, right? You own a car, right? Do I have the right to come up and put a clamp on your car and then tell you I own it? Because I certainly know that the DVLA can't do it. But that's what he's basically saying. He represents a fiction, right? And what I need to find out is who is the man or woman that represents the DVLA told him if he attaches a clamp, he owns my car. This is what I want to know, because that has serious implications, because that's common law theft. Hello?
Hello? Yeah, I'm still there.
Okay, you know what I'm saying? He cannot make a claim. He's made a claim for a fiction that's non-existent. It's just a name. DVLA is just a fictitious name, right? So he's committing fraud I stay in Scotland. He's committing fraud under Scots common law because he's using writing, words and conduct to commit it. And he's using extortion under Scots common law to extort money, right? But the people on the road, no the council, no the DVLA, and certainly no the police, right? It's the people that pay for the roads, right? You don't even maintain the roads with the money that he's extorting at the people, right? But he made a claim that he said that the DVLA, once he attaches a clamp on the DVLA's behalf, they own that. So I need to speak to somebody high up that knows what I'm talking about here. Somebody that's qualified in your legal law, right? Because legal and lawful is two different things. And I want to get to know who is it telling these people when they go and clamp a man or a woman's car that they, as soon as they put that clamp on it, they own it. I want to know that. You're saying that the DVLA do not get involved in ownership, right?
Yeah. What I would suggest in this particular circumstance, on the clamp, there would have been a contact number for the wheel clamping unit.
It was blank. There was nothing on it. There was nothing at all on it.
Right. Okay. There was no information of who had clamped it at all. Or
There wasn't even a leaflet or a sticker put on the car either.
Right. Okay. Well, the only thing I could suggest is I wouldn't be able to help you further on this because I'm not trained in the wheel clamping regulations. I would suggest you contact the wheel clamping unit directly. I'm happy to provide you with their number.
Well, the one that appeared to try and uplift my car was from Dalry in Scotland, Ayrshire.
Right. Okay. Well, the wheel clamping unit will be able to see, what faction, what organisations, etc. were acting on behalf of the DVLA then to put the wheel clamp on. It's probably best that you speak to them now. Do you have a pen and paper so I can provide you with their number?
Firstly, you still not answered my question. I want to speak to somebody that making the claim that they've authorised him to say that he owns that property.
That wouldn't be under our jurisdiction.
Why would that? Can I ask you something, Gareth? Why would that not be under your jurisdiction? Because he's saying that the DVLA are making this claim, and you're saying that you don't get involved in ownership.
It wouldn't be. Our particular unit. The only thing I could suggest is to contact the wheel clamping, and they should be able to direct you.
Right. Well, what would that require from yourself is two addresses: one for the wheel clamping unit, and also the address direct to your CEO, Oliver Morley.
Okay. I'll be able to give you the wheel clamping unit, but I wouldn't have the details for the CEO.
Why is that? He's the boss. You must know how to address.
What I'd suggest is there may be an avenue that you can contact, but I would suggest that you go through our complaints unit to get that information.
Okay, so give me the two addresses if you don't mind. I'm sorry for holding you back to your job.
That's no problem. So I'll provide you wheel clamping first. I'll give you a contact telephone number, okay?
Could you give me the address so I can get it in writing, because I want to write to them until I can get an answer in writing so I can hold them liable?
Well, I would suggest that you, the wheel clamping unit doesn't have an address, but if you contact their telephone number, they'll be
Hold on, Gareth, you're confusing me. You're telling me it doesn't have an address. It must have an address.
Okay, well, there is the General Enforcement Centre's address, which I could provide you with.
Okay, the one I require is Dalry.
I will give you the Enforcement Centre's address, and they'll be able to direct you further.
Okay, if you give me that address, that'll do for starters, and then give me the address for your complaints unit.
Yeah, that's no problem. So, enforcement is the Enforcement Centre. Next line, D12, D Delta 12.
Okay.
DVLA.
Okay.
In Swansea.
Okay.
Postcode S for sugar.
Okay.
A for alpha.
Okay.
99.
Okay.
1.
A
for alpha. H for hotel.
Okay. That's the clamp division.
That would be the enforcement section, which the clamp division is part of the enforcement. So they will be able to inform you. If you write to that address, you'll get a response within a maximum of 2 to 4 weeks.
You wouldn't have a contact number as well, would you?
Not to the enforcement centre.
Okay.
They would need something in writing.
Could you give me the address now for where I want to make a complaint?
Yeah, you can do that online. I don't know whether you would be.
I'd rather do it in writing, my friend. I don't have a computer. I want to.
Oh, that's no problem. I would. That would be then the complaints team. And that's D for Delta 16.
Okay.
DVLA Swansea.
Okay.
Postcode S for sugar, A for alpha 6.
Okay.
7 Juliet Lima.
Okay. Now, can I ask you a question? You might find this very strange. You say the complaints team. Is there a man or woman called that, or is it just an office, a fictitious office?
It's an office based in the main site at the DVLA.
But just to be clear, there is no man or woman called that. Is that correct?
Well, it's team, so no, there wouldn't be. No.
That's okay. You've been great help, my friend. You have a good day, right? The female before you was very abrupt, and if she would, she just, I don't know, she lost the plot, right? She kind of made me lose the plot as well because of your attitude, and because the people pay your wages, mate, and you've got a duty and obligation to answer questions. That's why you're there, and that's what you get paid for. Right, but you've done me proud, sir, and I thank you for your time, and you have a good day, sir. Thank you for your help.
That's no problem at all. Thanks for your call.
Bye-bye.